Tilder! What is this? This is the Sokani X60, a tiny cob LED light with a Bowens mount. How much does it cost? Approximately $170. It's quite powerful at 80 watts. There's no flicker. Wall power only. Colors aren't too bad, just some slight yellowing in the skin. Unfortunately, the fan is too loud. Who's this for? Product videographers that don't need sound, and maybe wedding videographers that need to light up a dim reception area. Done! Roll that intro! Hey, what's going on everybody? You're watching Too Long Didn't Read Filmmaker, where the answers comes first, the reasons come last, but we're constantly and always still learning. So today we're going to be talking about whether or not the Sokani X60 is going to be the right solution for you and your overall filmmaking setup. I want to thank Pergear and Sokani for sending me out a copy so that I can provide you with my unbiased review today. Now, coming in at $170, you have everything that you see here coming in the box. In terms of its overall design, it's really well built, really sturdy, made out of solid metal. And in terms of its size, it's really not that big, so you can easily take a bunch of these with you, especially with the awesome carrying case where everything is nice and compact in a square package. You can just put it in your car and you're good to go. Now there is one little flaw in its design, and that happens to be the umbrella holder. So what I mean by this is the umbrella is always going to be fixed in this position. If the umbrella's here and this is the rod. So basically if you need to tilt your light down, the umbrella is not going to tilt with it. So half of your light is just going to be shooting at a little part of the umbrella instead of using the whole umbrella, especially if you're using an umbrella reflective softbox. But it does have a Bowens mount in the front, so if you already have a Bowens mount softbox, then not a big deal. In terms of its overall output, I'm going to throw some tests for you here against the GVM 150 watt, and this is rated at 80 watts, so you can see the difference here. In terms of color reproduction, here are some charts of me comparing it against the Aperture HR672, which has a pretty good color reproduction rating. Now, because of the nature of cob LEDs, these LED chips need to be attached to a heatsink of some sort, which means if the heatsink is not big enough, you're gonna need a fan to cool it. And unfortunately for this light itself, the fan is quite loud. So what's the bottom line here? Is a Sokani X60 something I would recommend for you and your overall filmmaking kit? And I have to say, if you're a narrative filmmaker, it's going to be a hard pass for me. And the reason is because the fan is just way too loud for me to feel comfortable having 3 or 4 of these on set. Where this light is actually going to excel for you is if you do videography for products. So whether you have a tech channel with computers, cameras, or what have you, or maybe you have a restaurant client and you need to go over there and you need to shoot some really gorgeous B-roll beauty shots of the food being prepared, what have you, and the final product. Or maybe you work with an apparel company and you simply just need to get some video footage of the models showcasing it, spinning around in a studio, what have you. In these cases, sound is not a big deal. So the Sokani X60, I believe, will excel for this type of video. Not only that, take into consideration the price. At $170 for a very powerful 80 watt light in a cob light form with a Bowens mount in the front, you can basically buy 4 of these instead of buying an Aperture 120D Mark II. So when you think of it that way, instead of having one super powerful light, you have 4 of these. And now you can modify it, place it in different ways, get a good hair light, get a good key light, get some other kind of light modifiers, put some gels in front of it. You now can really craft your overall look by having 4 of these. So that's where I believe this light is going to help, probably more so beginning videographers. That's actually not a bad kit to have 4 of these. And of course, it's very small, it's very portable. They all have their own carrying case. So taking it with you to a shoot is not going to be that big of a deal. Now, I hear some of you guys saying, well, wait a minute, the 120D allows me to battery operate it. And yes, that is true. However, if you are going somewhere to shoot a product, generally speaking, you're probably in their office, corporate office, their store, what have you, or the restaurant itself. So yes, you can definitely run some stingers to get power. I know that might be maybe a hassle for certain areas, but generally speaking, if you're doing that kind of videography, they probably set a room for you or an area that's blocked off so you can do your job. So that being said, I would have to say product videography is probably what you want to use as light. Now, Sokani has said that the X60 is actually made for photographers rather than videographers. And that makes sense because, again, the fan is just way too loud. Now, unfortunately, I'm not a major photographer, so I can't really comment too deeply about this, but I will say this. When I tried taking some photos of my nieces and nephew over the holiday, and basically I had the light about 6 feet away and had the umbrella in front of it for some diffusion so it didn't blast them with too much light, I was really only able to get the shutter to about 1/100th. And I am using a 1.7 prime lens for those shots. I didn't want to get my ISO too high, so the ISO was basically around 400. So in my opinion, when you're trying to capture photography of nieces and nephews and kids just running all over the place, you're going to want that shutter to be much, much faster so you don't get any motion blur, which I did get in a couple of the shots. So if you really want to use continuous light for photography purposes, I would say you're probably going to want to get much more powerful lights than the Sokani X60. And hey, that is it for this week, everybody. If this video has made all the influence in your purchasing decisions, I would truly appreciate it if you check out my Amazon affiliate links down below. Again, this costs nothing extra to you. It just gives me a little compensation so I can continue making videos like this for you. And as always, if you have any questions or comments, go ahead and leave it down below. I will try to get to them as fast as I can. And until then, like, subscribe, and share, and I'll see you guys in the next one.